Hey, good afternoon. Maria back with another video. It's like 1:20 p.m. and I decided to come back with another video. I am using my camera right now only because my phone's being charged up and, I don't think it's going to be able to record the extent of this video. As a matter of fact, I might end up making a two-parter of this particular video because I'm not exactly sure how long this is actually going to take. But I wanted to make a video on workplace mobbing today and kind of talk about some of the tactics that are used, and really what people should be looking for as far as the kind of environment and the environment and the feel of the office. When I'm talking about who should be observing this, I'm talking about people who are in charge of their managers. It's ideal to want to hire somebody that you feel who's going to be able to run the organization in a fair, diplomatic way, okay? And ideally, you don't want to have to sit here and watch what they do. You want to be able to have somebody that you can trust, because the reason why you have them in this position is because you don't want to sit here and have to worry about delegating tasks, making sure this particular project is getting done, and dealing with, employee arguments and that sort of stuff. You want to take a break from that and focus on expanding your company. So you're hiring a person who's going to be in charge of all that. But oftentimes, people try to meet their goals or try to take the accomplishments of other people because they're not exactly as skilled or qualified to be in the position that they're in. So oftentimes they use tactics relating to bullying to get things done. And there's a lot of covert harassment as well as overt harassment, but most of it's done covertly. So there's little signs that you need to watch out for in the behavior of your employees, and that can be easily done if you take the time to look at it, okay? I'm not saying you have to monitor all their actions, because what would be the point of you having them there? But I'm just saying is, when you're going in through your company, you're making a visit or something, you're looking around, you're seeing how other people are interacting with one another. If you see people off to the side, they're kind of being excluded, something's wrong. Or if you know of an employee who might have been very good at their job at one time, and now they seem to not have the same heavy workload that they have and are being assigned to menial type tasks, you need to be aware that this might be a form of bullying, and that this person might be off on their own doing something completely different because there's something going on in the company where people are trying to target this particular individual. And so in order to have a healthy work environment, people need to understand that this sort of thing happens, okay, and not discredit what people are trying to tell you or dismiss it as, well, you're just being paranoid or you're overly sensitive, okay? Workplace mobbing is a very serious issue. So I kind of wanted to share this information with you, and then I'm going to start off talking about the sudden appearance of workplace mobbing. Well, the term workplace mobbing was first described in 1980 by a psychologist named Heinz Lehmann, who practiced in Sweden. He observed the effects of this behavior. Targets, he noticed, were just as traumatized as if they had been on the front lines of a combat zone. In a sense, they really had gone through a battle. They survived an emotional shell game that delivered brutal shocks to their system. The people Dr. Lehmann saw suffer from what we now call post-traumatic stress disorder, otherwise known as PTSD. Following his research, other social scientists have confirmed his findings. They've studied similar dynamics, and they've published papers on this unfortunate phenomenon. They've also written books about what happens when a group of people gang up on someone. Workplace mobbing, unfortunately, has become a term we now hear all too often because it seems to be a modern epidemic. So what happens during workplace mobbing? Okay, a target suffers immense psychological pain. They often quit their jobs. The environment turns so hostile that they'd probably be fired anyway if they attempted to stick it out. Typically, the goal of the group is to get the target to leave. This tactic ultimately succeeds, but that's only because upper management gave the bully or bullies a pass to do so. Nothing would have happened if someone with authority decided to intervene. In every instance of workplace mobbing, a supervisor is either looking the other way or is collaborating with the bully. Sometimes the supervisor is the one orchestrating the attacks. Now, obviously, sometimes, like I said, mobbing occurs because there's something that happened originally. It originated within that organization structure. Like, for example, two girls were arguing in the bathroom, and they got involved in a petty argument, and so one girl starts a gossip campaign against the other girl, and then it spreads like wildfire. In my situation, I had people who were related to me. I'm using the word were related to me, and talking to business owners and people within the company, and basically creating the chaos. Okay. And so, obviously, like, for example, Karen Johnson had, confronted me several times, which I thought was inappropriate, or, scolded me or acted in a way that I felt was inappropriate, because she was basically probably, letting off steam for something that probably had nothing to do with my job in general, okay? But anyway, that's just kind of an example, okay? It's just basically you can encourage a group of people if someone in a position of power, okay, whether they should be labeled or looked upon as powerful or not. Anyway, anybody with somebody with a title or somebody who feels people look at with some sort of a form of authority, okay? So like a manager is going to, if they have an asshole attitude, I can assure you that's going to trickle down into the organization, okay? Now, what they do in their own time is one thing, okay? But they have a responsibility to conduct themselves in a very moral and ethic way when they are with their employees, okay? Anyway, targets are often excluded from important meetings. A common ploy is to deny them access to resources and materials needed to do their job. They may suffer insults and seething criticism. Co-workers may also avoid them or spread nasty rumors designed to destroy their credibility. Okay, this is something that, continually happened to me while I was working over at the Farmer's Place. And I will say that, it's funny because, you'll notice that it's usually the hardworking ones, the ones who are going above and beyond, who are the ones where people feel threatened and attacked. And I will tell you that in my situation, this was happening to me a lot, okay? I will go more into that a little bit later, but I can relate to a lot of what people are writing about and their experiences, because no matter where you are, no matter what neck of the woods you live in, okay, the tactics that are used in workplace mobbing as well as community gang stalking or gang stalking in general are always the same, always. So, anyway, going on, how prevalent is mobbing? Okay, in the United States, 1/3 of employees report having been bullied, according to the advocacy group named Workplace Bullying Institute, which is great, okay? Workplace abuse is particularly common in female-dominated professions such as nursing, teaching, and social work. About 40% of the time, the perpetrators are women, but the vast majority of targets are women. Abusers who often have personality disorders are charming and convincing. They're often able to recruit others to bully by proxy. So you might have like a manager who seems like when he meets with the owner, he's all smiles, and oftentimes, bullying managers use things that aren't necessarily relating to the job to get on the side of the business owner or whoever is the main head honcho. Like, for example, they might say that they like a particular football team. They might relate or say that they are siding with a particular political figure or a certain political affiliation, or they might go to the same church or whatever. Is whatever, the business owner holds dear or whatever, this person's going to side with him. It's basically doing a lot of brown nosing, okay? And this is what gets these people to trust the manager. They think, oh, this person, he's a good old boy, he's so this, and this, he likes this, we have so much in common. They become charmed with this person, okay? When in fact, when he's with his employees, he's doing a lot of things that are just absolutely controlling and, devilish, okay? And oftentimes, like I said, the reason why they feel as though they can get away with this is because they are the manager themselves are being instructed by people who they feel have authority. Like in my case, it was my family, fueling them with a bunch of bullshit. And so therefore, that's how the story goes. So that's an interesting thing. What happens to the target? The effects of workplace mobbing and dealing with highly toxic co-workers are devastating to a target. Dr. Lehman, the first to formally formally recognized this phenomena of adults ganging up on people, believed that 15% of all suicides in Sweden, where he lived, were due to mobbing. This is one of the reasons why it becomes so devastating, because oftentimes mobbing, obviously, it takes the very best people, the people who are more inspired than anybody to do a good job. It crushes their dreams. And in a lot of times, like in my situation, not only did it happen within that particular work structure, they made sure that the harassment continued on outside of it. So oftentimes it prevents you from being able to move freely, which is blocking a person, being able to find adequate employment, being able to continue on your journey because of it. The expanding gossip and the smear campaigns are being spread throughout everywhere. So this causes a severe depression within a targeted individual, okay? So that's something that you should think about. Anyway, so some of the tactics used in workplace mobbing, I didn't want to go through all of them because there's so many, okay? But these are some of the more common ones, and maybe if you can start looking and around your company, you might see these things yourself, and it's good to get to the bottom of it, because really, if a person has to use manipulation and tactics and bully someone to get the job done, instead of inspiring them in ways where they want to contribute to do their work, they want to, they're excited about their work, instead of you want that kind of person to be the charge of your company. You don't want to deal with people who are using, manipulation tactics or, bullying somebody else to accomplish a goal that they will most likely take credit for, okay? That's not the kind of person you want. You're wasting money on somebody who is literally destroying your company. So these are the signs. If you look around, you take the time to look around, you can see that these things are happening. And if you do see them happening, then you need to take action and try to do what you can to reverse the situation. Oftentimes, I would say human resources is inadequate to really carry through on certain things like this, because, it's very easy for most people who are involved in human resources or things like that, or jobs that hold the similar, responsibilities, okay? They get caught up in the gossip. They get caught up in all of it. And so they don't really use discernment when it comes to certain issues, because they are basically getting caught up in the drama. And oftentimes you'll notice that these people aren't really qualified because they don't even realize what they're doing is illegal, okay? Being cheeky or being a little bit annoying is not illegal, but when it falls within discriminatory guidelines, okay, that's when the red flags should be popping up. And unfortunately, in my situation, it didn't. Many targeted individuals are under a protected class. What is a protected class? A protected class is basically there's already a law in place, because people have had issues in the past, oftentimes, relating to maybe their religion, their race, their gender, their marital status, their whatever. And so there are laws passed to protect them, because, you can't discriminate based on those issues. Okay, people have their biases, okay? But when it comes to work, if you are blatantly showing a disregard for a person for those particular reasons, that's discriminatory, and that is deserving of a lawsuit. Okay, so anyway, tactics used in workplace mobbing. They use the silent treatment to ice out and separate from others. So if you see a person off to themselves, and, some people like being off to themselves, okay? But what's making them be off to themselves? Are they just, not feeling good? They wake up that morning, they didn't feel good? Or is it a constant thing where this person's always by themselves? Why are they by themselves all the time? Now, oftentimes, like in my situation, I was dealing with people who were asking me questions that were too intrusive. I would deal with people who were saying things that they shouldn't know, all because of, my family and their problems and bringing it into the workplace. So it's these sort of things, because that right there is saying that people are gossiping about this person, they're isolating this person, and they're making problems for this person. So this is something that you need to be aware of. And if this person's off by themselves, you need to find out, hey, is everything okay? And encourage that. A lot of companies have open policies, okay, where if you feel uncomfortable about a certain issue, or you feel like you're not being treated fairly, or you feel like you could improve on a certain process or something, they say, oh, we encourage you to come and speak to us, okay? A lot of companies are designed that way, or they say that they are, okay? But when the shit hits the fan, when something like this really happens, all of a sudden, this person is a whistleblower, and they're hell raisers, and they're causing problems, when in fact that's not the case, okay? But anyway, that's one of the signs. Falsely accused someone of errors that are not, falsely accusing someone of errors that they didn't actually make, okay? That has happened to me when I was working over at the Farmer's Place, okay? Now, this particular general manager had adequate time to understand the POS system. This person had, additional training provided, which he refused to actually put through the new initiations that the owner wanted. He failed to acknowledge any of that. So basically, he screws up the inventory. That was him. He was at that front of that particular position to make sure that wasn't going to happen. It didn't happen. So guess what? People put it on me. BS, okay? But these are some of the tactics, okay? I don't mean to go into the personal stuff too much, but boy, I am really angry about that. Disregarded satisfactory or excellent quality of work completed by, okay, yes, they disregard the work that you provide, okay? Like, for example, when you do something that is, extraordinary, okay? And you do something that, it's worthy of some sort of credit, It doesn't have to be monetary, but it could be an acknowledgement of thank you, okay? But in my case, I worked my butt off, okay? Like when I first got to the Farmer's Place, I worked my butt off to bring the books current from a certain time. So I got there in October. The books were not current. They went all the way back from, I think, June, the month of June, okay? So the books hadn't been updated since then, okay? So I got in there and I did and updated everything. That relates to all of it, okay? So what happens? I was ignored. I didn't get the acknowledgement. But I did get the blame. I got blamed for a workers' comp audit that happened the year before I got there, okay? So you'll see that these sort of things are going on. So if they do, you need to start paying attention with what's happening around your environment. They encourage people to turn against the person being tormented. This happened to me because of the gossip. They use gossip to destroy work relationships. And really, the gossip that goes on has nothing to do with, that particular person, okay? Why they get upset, why they get, hostile towards you is because they feel like they have to side. They're creating sides within the organization. So, like, if the general manager doesn't like you, well then, even though they might personally not like the general manager themselves, but they feel like their job's on the line, so there you go. They're kissing ass. They're doing what they need to do, okay? That's one of the things that you also need to look for. They yell, scream, throw tantrums in front of other people at you, right, to intimidate you and make you look or feel stupid, when in reality, they're stupid. But my point is this has happened to me a few times. I remember when I was working in child support, Karen came into my office and basically said, don't mess with me. And I kept looking at her like, I don't even know what you're talking about, I just felt as if her behavior was completely inappropriate. Also, I remember her accounts receivable person, jumping on my case for something that I really had nothing to do with her. She had no right to even speak to me that way because I was supposed to be her boss, okay? But my point is that, you'll find that this is a form of intimidation, and these things shouldn't be taking place, okay? I don't care what kind of hierarchy or what kind of position of hierarchy this person has. Yelling at a person is never appropriate, okay? So it sends a very bad message to everybody. It not only does it send a bad message to the target, it also sends a bad message that this is how we do things. This is how we, talk. We don't communicate.